Hello students. Today I'm going to discuss on the greenhouse management topic about the climatic controls. So we have, as already discussed with you that greenhouses are very important whenever we want to, grow crops under the climate control situations, because in these greenhouses we can control the temperature, humidity, wind, light intensity, the wavelengths, and temperature of the particularly of the greenhouses. And as per the plant's requirement, we can modify it. So this is climate controls are very important. Here we will be discussing little about the different climatic introduction on the climate controls, then different physiological terms which are used while we explain the things in the form of plant science, then environmental influence on growth and yield of the plants, and different climatic control techniques and equipments. So, as an introduction, the microclimate is of a plant is specified in terms of temperature, light, air composition, and nature of root medium. And now, these are very important from this point of view that uh, you can say. Uh, because these all the parameters we can modify inside, and just see in the structure here. Now there are certain things which we can, the rain water which is falling, we can take it out, and with the help of gutters, and there is no direct contact from the rain, so there is no effect of rains as such on the crop plants. The wind speeds, which is, whether they are high or low, they are also outside, so they are that too are not as such are not affecting the plants. And then outside temperature, relative humidity, these are not affecting. Now here inside we have a covered structure, it is totally covered. Now the plants grow well because there is a concentration of carbon dioxide. The plants which they are on their own producing the carbon dioxide, they are at the same time they are consuming the same carbon dioxide, and as such that may be one of the reason to have more of carbon dioxide concentrations and more carbohydrate generations in the inside the greenhouses. Now there is a transpiration of water from down here ground from the ground, and it is striking the surface, and there is a condensation which is which can be drip down from the sides of the walls, or the gable sides of the polyhouse. And then there is a humidity that can also be altered inside. And the water control, there is, as we are not using any irrigation rainwater and all, so there is a drip system in this, and with the help of this drip system we can modify, and we can use the water as per the requirement of the crop very precisely, and we can take the crop in always in the field capacity situations. Now, protection of the crops required against unfavorable climate conditions, animals, weeds, pests, and diseases. The growing of plants in the optimum conditions by controlling climate is one of the very important aspects so far as our these climate controls are concerned. The different physiological terms which we use in plant physiology, you can say, are the same which we are using for the explaining the polyhouse activities like photosynthesis. You know what is photosynthesis, the respiration, transpiration, photoperiodism. Now these are the plants available, there may be long day, short day, and like this. Then photomorphogenesis, then plant growth angles. Now so these all are covered under the science branch which is called plant physiology, but as such here we are taking them from especially from protected point of view. Now the different climatic parameters and their averaged amounts which are suitable for growth of the crops, like normally in greenhouses, or even the ideal growth time, the light intensity, which is always measured in the form of lux. So this should be 50,000 to 60,000, and we can change or increase or decrease the light intensity with the help of shade nets or by putting some artificial bulbs in the polyhouses. Then there is a temperature. Normal temperature range is room around 25 to 28 or 30 degrees centigrade, in which the plants survive well. Now, if there is a winter months and temperature is low, then with the help of covering the windows of the polyhouse, we can increase the temperature of the polyhouse from inside. But at the same time, we can also cool down that polyhouse when if there is a summer and there is a temperature of the greenhouse is more. So with the help of some foggers or with the help of some windows and all, so this is the modification we can do, but we can maintain the temperature. The humidity, ideal humidity you can say is 60 to 80%. The carbon dioxide concentration is up to 1000 ppm, and there should be the air circulation inside in order to keep the pollens and all moving. So, and so that there shouldn't be any patches of hot and cold air, because it may happen that when in the winter months when there is a sun rises and the air near the near the sides of the poly house, it get warmed up, but at the center of the poly house there may be still cool air or the temperature is low. So there may be the patches of hot and cold develop inside the greenhouses. So in order to control that, or in order to uh, uniform the inside temperature, it is always in air circulation is done with the help of some horizontally HAFs, which we saw air horizontal airflow fans, and they are mix the air of hot and cold, and there is no zones, different zones being created. So different environmental factors which we are just discussed, and their effect on the plant growth is like this. So you can just see here, the photosynthesis, photomorphogenesis, photoperiodism is directly affected by the sun radiations. The temperature is directly linked with cell division, elongation, respiration, photosynthesis. The relative humidity is also important. Carbon dioxide is having a direct relation in photosynthesis and respiration. So whenever there is a in a poly house, the height up to which the sheet is kept from the ground, this is called the apron height, and normally the plants grow up to this place. So these plants has a carbon dioxide accumulation in this area, and as when the plants respire in the night, and in the morning when the sun comes, the plants start get active, start doing photosynthesis, and at the same time it can consume back the same carbon dioxide which is being released by it. So there is an air circulation, and like this. So this is the same things about the light and wavelengths. There is a ultra UVs up to 200 to 400, which is called the ultraviolet zone. But normally the plants survive well in the 400 to 700 nanometer, which is the visible range, or you can say the Vibgyor range of the radiation. Normally, 400 to 700 is the photoactive, or you can say the PAR radiation, in which the plants grow well. Now, below that or above that, there is always a growth. The plant growth is affected, and as such, they cause retarding growth. So in this table, this is a very important table, and you must keep it with you, because this is the different main crops of the polyhouse, like gerbera, rose, tomato, cucumber, and capsicum, and their basic climatic requirements, which we can maintain inside the greenhouse by one or the other mean, is the temperature, day temperature, night temperature, humidity, and the light intensity. So you can just see in this particular table that normal ranges are like 25 to around 25 degrees. The night is around 18 to 15 to 18. The humidity is around 60 to 65%, and the light intensity is around 50,000. Now, with the help of different type of climatic control techniques, we can alter the the climate inside the greenhouses. So the light can be altered with the help of some bulbs, fluorescent lamps, and all. Then there is a shade nets, and with the help of that, we can also change the light. Temperature can be done by heating and cooling with the help of some fan system, or heating is with the help of some blowers, hot air systems. We can increase the temperature inside. Then there is a shading of can be done with the help of nets. The ventilation is there. Yeah, so this is a now we will be discussing one by one, and I will show you certain equipments also which will be can be used to artificially provide the different requirements of the plants in the polyhouse. So this is artificial lighting. Now you can just see in this polyhouse we have different lighting arrangements. You can just see here, these are different lights being installed. I'm just putting trying to make it more clear to you. And these are different lights, just like this one. They are installed, and they can make a dark day and dark night also like a bright day. So these are different artificial lighting systems, the fluorescent lamps and all, the mercury lamps and all that kind of lamps which we can use inside the greenhouses. Then the shading is also important. With the help of shade nets, we can also change the and reduce the light intensity inside. And sometimes the plants, just like these plants, which are the tissue cultured plants, and they may need less light intensity. Otherwise, they may die. So this is with the help of nets we can alter. There is thermal nets also, as they can used for heating, at the same time for covering the light intensity. Sometimes in the winters we have very low temperatures, so in these cases, or in case of particularly the temperate regions where we have greenhouses at a very low temperatures, so we need to heat the polyhouses. So there are different ways to heat the polyhouse. There may be a system of hot air blowing, which is maybe centrally this kind of unit can be established, and which is just taking just like your central system. They it may blow hot air inside the polyhouses. There may be another reason, ways to do with the help of hot water or steam, which is there are some steam pipes which are been floated inside the greenhouses, and from there they can also use as a, for heating. Another aspect is about the cooling. So there is in the summers when the polyhouse gets very get high temperature inside. So in that case, these polyhouses need to be cooled. So there is a different ways to cool the greenhouses. The most important is the fogging technologies. The foggers are installed, and at the pulse levels they have different pulse. Sometimes manually, sometimes we can operate them automatically also, and they help in what you say is cooling the temperature of the greenhouses. Many times it's confusion that foggers are used for irrigation, but no, they are not for irrigation. They are specially made or designed to release a very fine mist particles, and they are help in cooling of the structure. So we have different technologies, with the help of foggers also, but we can go for evaporative cooling systems, in which we can install fan and pad system. This is a typical, you can say, the semi-auto kind of polyhouses, where we install fans in one direction, one wall, and pads on the normally the cellulose pads are there, so they are made and like this. So that can also lower down the temperature up to 10 to 15 degrees centigrade. If there is say outer temperature is around 35 degrees, so with the help of fan and pad system we can maintain a temperature of around 25 degrees inside the greenhouse. and then the plants can survive well in that. So then misting and fogging is also normally these foggers, they open at 4 kg pressure, but and they release very fine particles of water, and it get mixed up with the hot air and cool down the temperature. So these ventilations are like this, the natural ventilation and mechanical ventilation. Sometimes when we go for a very high or more precise, or we can say the precision agriculture technologies, then we sometimes put a supply of carbon dioxide also, with the idea that if there is more carbon dioxide inside the greenhouses, it may release, it may help in better observation from the stomatas, and at the same time it will increase the production by more photosynthetic and sourcing activity. So there are different ways to increase the carbon dioxide inside. These are certain measuring equipments which we are using for the different type of parameters. This is a visible light meter with the help of which you can just measure the light intensity. Psychrometer is there, which with the help of which we can take the different temperatures. Hygrometer or hygrograph is there for measuring humidity. Digital thermometers, they are also used these days. These are also very commonly, very popular. But they can also be used for measuring the temperature of the polyhouses. The carbon dioxide concentration can also be measured. The wind velocity with the help of anemometers, and wind direction with the help of the cup anemometers. It can be done. And there is some tiny weather stations which can also be installed inside the greenhouses, and this may give you an idea of actual weather conditions inside the greenhouses. So this was all about the climate control and different parameters inside the structures.